Okay, so slight change in plans. I'm too lazy to do the art for all of the scenes, so I'm just gonna start reading now. Yeah, so enjoy, I guess. Nevada was a small town located in the U.S. It wasn't the safest place to live, considering it had the third most largest crime rate in the world, but people there were happy, because it was home. But that's not important, for the story begins with a young man by the name of Hank J. Wimbledon. Hank woke up to the commotion of his roommate, Sanford, making breakfast in the kitchen. They weren't really bothered by it. It was normal to them, and honestly he found it way more pleasant than waking up to an alarm clock. They got out of bed and prepared for the day. He put on a hoodie, jeans, and slipped a black beanie over his buzz cut. Hank got out of his room just in time to see their second roommate, Deimos, sleepily coming out of his own room, still dressed in his PJs. "Mornin', Day," Hank greeted. Deimos replied with a simple hum before walking off towards the aroma coming from the kitchen. "Mornin', Sanford," Hank said, entering the kitchen just as Sanford finished transferring an egg to a plate. "Mornin', sleepyheads," Sanford greeted his roommates with a beaming smile on his face. "I made eggs and bacon." He placed 3 plates of fried eggs and bacon on the table. "Thanks, babe." Deimos sat in the chair next to his partner. The 3 friends shared a moment of silence as they ate their breakfast. Then Sanford piped up with an idea. "Alrighty, so here's the deal. It's a grocery run day and it's nice out, so I want you both off your lazy arses and come with me to the store." Hank nodded as he finished up his last piece of bacon. It did sound like a good idea to get out and hang out with their roommates. "Sure, I'm in." "No! I want to stay home and be a lazy piece of Deimos jokingly whined as he sunk into his chair like a child who wasn't getting their way at the dinner table. Sanford couldn't help but chuckle at his boyfriend's behavior. "Come on, Day, do it for me," he teased. Deimos pouted. "Hey, think of it this way. It'll be like a date for you guys. Except in a store. And with me third-wheeling," Hank suggested with a smug look on their face. "Yeah, like a date," Sanford agreed. Deimos scoffed. "A boring date," he muttered under his breath. "Please." Sanford tried pleading again, this time getting closer to Deimos until their faces were smushed together. Deimos' face scrunched up like he had just eaten something sour, seemingly losing the will to protest any further. Fine, but only if we get hot dogs after." A large toothy grin graced Sanford's round face. "You've got a deal," he said as he extended his hand for Deimos to shake. The moment the gesture was returned, Sanford pulled the smaller man under his large, beefy arm to give him a playful kiss on the forehead. "Ha, gay," Hank interjected once the sweet moment was done. "Ah, shut up, Hank. Mind your own business," Deimos spat to Hank, already embarrassed enough from the sudden form of affection. "What? I saw gay, so I said gay," Hank teasingly shot back to Deimos as Sanford giggled to himself in the background. Life was good for Hank, Deimos, and Sanford. Like planned, the 3 friends had gone to the store, picked up a few things, and were now on their way home. It was a great day outside, and many other grunts were out enjoying the great weather that the day had brought them. It seemed like a normal, good day. Hank thought that nothing could possibly ruin that. God, was he ever wrong. "Hey!" The trio turned to see a police officer walking up to a hooded figure. Hank recognized the figure. They were one of the many wanted criminals in Nevada, usually only responsible for crimes like robbery and selling illegal things. However, they couldn't quite remember their name. But there was something eerily off about the individual. Even with an officer on the scene, Hank couldn't shake the feeling that there was something wrong. They didn't respond as the officer quickly approached them, nor did they move or try to run away when the cop came close to the figure and demanded that the fugitive put their hands in the air, or they would use force. The hooded figure was just standing there, rooted in place like a statue. "I'm gonna ask you one more time." The officer spoke with a strong, demanding tone. "Put your hands where I can see 'em." No response. Alrighty, you asked for this. The officer moved to restrain the person, but before the cop could reach the criminal, the individual suddenly moved. In an alarmingly quick blur of motion, the figure had dashed towards the officer, and with a shadowy blade seemingly pulled out of nowhere, they chopped the officer's head clean off. Everything froze as the cop's headless body fell limp to the floor. Then, all hell broke loose. People around Hank began to scream and panic, trying to get as far away from the murderer as possible. But Hank stood frozen in place, too stunned to move. Sanford tugged his arm, trying to snap him back to reality. "Come on, we gotta go!" But Hank stayed still, too disoriented and shocked at what they had just witnessed. Deimos seemed the same way. The figure made eye contact with Hank, and a chill ran down their spine. The criminal's eyes were pools of blood red, with inky black veins spread all about their face. The murderer's face molded into a twisted glee at the sight of a new target, slowly marching forward to pursue their new victim. Hank had no idea what to do. He was terrified. This had been a good day. What was going on? Sanford tugged on Deimos and Hank, trying to get them to move. Deimos willingly followed Sanford to be protected by the big strong man. But Hank still didn't move. He knew that that person was after him now, and he feared what that person would do to their friends. Hank knew what they had to do. They tore away from Sanford's grip, just as the figure lunged to attack him.